Hi guys, my name is Kunj. I am the CEO of InsideIM.com. Been working with InsideIM for the last 4.5 years. I'm sure you've seen my face in one video or the other because I'm annoyingly frequent with those videos. Guys, to begin with, why are we here? So, guys, we've been doing Konversations Café for the last 4 years. We've been going to Hard Rock cafes, socials all over the country, doing this in a physical kind of a setup where you get to meet recruiters in a very casual kind of a setup. Obviously, this year, the way your campus, fortunes have changed. Similarly, our property has also moved online, and we're trying to replicate that same informality, the honesty, the authenticity to our online platform. So welcome to all of you who've made it here. I know that you must have worked really hard in your CAT prep, in your interview prep, all kinds of things. You've had to jump through a lot of hoops to make it to your top B schools. So appreciate you guys actually putting in the effort to watch the videos of the ABGLP stars and ask them relevant questions for having made it here. So thank you so much. You guys are a privileged lot. You guys need to know that not a lot of people get to interact with the ABGLP team this early into their campus life and and in such an intimate setting. uh, why are we doing this, guys? We believe in one thing, which is a version of YOLO. Here at Inside IM, we believe, we call it YOBO, which is you only be school once. You don't do it again and again, and you want to do it right. Sometimes things are too important for you to just wing it. Okay, figure out kar lenge, kuch na kuch kar lenge. Sometimes it's better to go in with a plan, with a playbook, with an idea of how I'm going to ace it this time. And these series of conversations cafes that we are doing online this year is going to help you figure out that playbook, that okay, if this is the company I want to get into, what are the things that I need to do? And we are going to get it right from the horse's mouth, people who've made it that way and the people who are going to make those decisions around it this year. So with that, I welcome the ABG team that we have for this session here today. We've got the two ABGLP stars whose videos I'm sure you watched on the YouTube channel, where they've got more than 5,000 views each of them already. I'm sure their LinkedIn is flooding with a lot of requests from their juniors. We've got Sandeep Singh. He heads products and strategy in retail lending at Aditya Birla Finance Limited. A lot of people have asked him questions from ABG's other glamorous business, which is retail and fashion. And this is not that, guys. And some of you realize that that is why you made it here. The other person that we have here is Krishna Rathi. He himself is an ABG LP star. He got through the FLP program. He is a CFA level 3. He heads corporate MIS and finance at Grasim Industries Limited and chemicals. So thank you so much, guys. Welcome to Conversations Cafe Online. I also want to welcome the YTM team, the Young Talent Management team that really creates the whole ABGLP program, the prestigious ABGLP program, the flagship program of Aditya Birla Group. We've got Costa, who's the AVP and EA to the CEO of Birla Carbon. He heads the Young Talent Management team at Aditya Birla Group. We've got Shoma, who handles campus hiring and engagement at ABG. We've got Avande, who leads careers development and learning at ABG. We've got Bhavna, who heads the engineering leadership program at ABG. And we've got Arwa Zaki, who handles the first year of the Young Talent program. So your management trainee programs, their design, etc., those kinds of things. So with that, I'm going to quickly get into the questions, and I'm going to start with you, Sandeep. Uh, there is this wisdom, and this is one of the questions that have come in from the students. We say that we should never confuse stability with stagnation, and this is a very strange time to bring up this question, but uh, how do leaders at ABG maintain this trade-off? Because it's a decades-old organization, and hence it makes it very stable. But sometimes you also run the risk of it leading to stagnation. So how does ABG make that trade-off?
Um, thanks, Kunj. Good morning, or rather, good afternoon, everyone. I wish you all the very best and success all throughout your careers. And very excited, and hopefully, we'll see you in few years down the line as well in our organizations as well. Giving a little context, organization, a group, a conglomerate, which is, so many years old, decades and decades, there must be something right that it has been sustained, right? Otherwise, We all have heard stories of a lot of companies starting up, going out, and therefore sustainability and sustenance becomes one of the key ingredient for such big companies to work. um, all our leaders, all our seniors, and leaders in our group, the key facet is all about, having sustained focus on growth. And that sustenance comes not only from, incremental changes, but applying innovations, applying mega changes which change the landscape of the industry which each of these businesses work in. So I would not confuse stability with stagnation. I think currently we all are going through the times, where the one who emerges in the end itself, or the last man standing itself, becomes a winner. And all of our businesses, I can for sure say, in our group, are onto that mark of last man standing. Um, Few of the traits, which I have seen personally within the group and the seniors, and the CEOs, right from the chairman to the multiple leaders that I have seen. It's all about how you create that incremental change, or how do you create that change in the area that you work. I If I look myself as a management trainee in year 1 and 2, I might have a very limited area or scope of influence, but how do I do different things differently there? That's one. The second, which I have seen a trait, is very goal oriented and focused. There's one quotation by Stephen Covey in Seven Habits, is begin with the end in mind. And that
Right.
becomes very important. If you are very clear on what is the goal that you are looking at in the end, it becomes easier to drive your actions towards this. So these are the two traits I would like to highlight, which I have seen personally, well, resonating in the group across different companies.
Sandeep, when you it is said that when you join corporate, you need to unlearn and learn again. You entered the ABGLP program from campus, and what was that first year like? And from that first year, if you could give us some examples where you realized that okay, what I learned in the classroom is slightly different from what I need to apply in real life in a big company, in a big organization that has been around for years, and how it does things and how the real world is around it. When did you realize that? And if you could give us some examples, what kind of effort that required from you?
Yeah, I think, and as you guys enter your B schools, you will realize more than the theoretical or the knowledge from the textbook that you will gain. It's about the environment that you shape up in your next 2 years of your life. And it's all about the teamwork, the guys, the friends you will make, and so on and so forth. I think one big shift that you see once you land up in corporate is, the change of, and the diverse set of culture that it brings in. You will have guys who are much decades old experience, giving you a different perspective altogether. You will have smart guys, you will have very competent or functional unifunctional areas, like guys like in research and development. So there's always an opportunity to learn from that perspective. However, like for example, my first year, and that's the beauty of this program. The first year is just a transition from your college MBA life to how you get into the corporate law world.
Right.
So in my first year, there were 4 stints that I did, 3 months each, with 4 different industries in the group, from telecom to fashion apparels to life insurance and to textiles, with 4 different functions. Started in the commercial and procurement function, to marketing, to sales, and to the manufacturing function. While we all of us relate, well, with the marketing and the sales, because we are so excited, we know all the jargons of the
Yeah.
of the world. But that's somewhere, marketing hai samajh mein aa gaya, that the kind of thing. Yeah, finance, yes, I know finance, but reality is far away from these words. And that's so my first program, I remember, you know uh, the first day I landed up into telecom business, the erstwhile idea and now Voda idea. And I landed up into commercial and procurement function. I had no clue, because commercial procurement, you don't get to have these subjects in your MBAs, right? And landed up to work with my then manager, stint manager, who was doing negotiations and deals with procurement of high asset star business in India. And then you realize, you can't put any theory to this. So it's more about. So I realize, the unlearn learn is more about what is the environment you get into, how easily you can ease into that environment, uh, how you can beautifully learn from so many people around you with diverse background and sets. Then MBA goes out of the window. It's more about your people skills, your ability to learn, establishing yourself. You are here to learn and contribute. That was the first. Just a quick one. Then I moved to textiles in strength 3. I went to Egypt in the textiles business. Never been there in the manufacturing set. I had my previous experience as an IT engineer. Had never been into manufacturing lines. Some of you might have
You also
seen.
you entered Egypt at a very turbulent time,
Yeah,
right?
so of course, that you would have heard in the video as well. But as soon as you land, and I was there on the top of the big boilers, the electricity boilers, trying to figure out. I was just doing some efficiency management program, trying to bring efficiencies in the entire line. And then you realize, it's more about applying logic, getting into the environment of where you are operating, learning from the people. I think these are the three things that I would leave myself, and then unlearn, learn keeps on happening. You add on experience, and that's today at 10 years down the line, I am sitting and giving this gyan.
Right.
That's the way. Yeah.
Okay, Sandeep, let's come to something that is top of the mind right now for everyone, the impact of COVID on some of the businesses that you worked for. So let's start with ABG retail lending itself, something that you are involved in right now. How has the current crisis impacted it? Is it fair to assume that there has been a drop, and how are you using digital marketing channels, because today nobody is watching those outdoors, or nobody is even looking at those advertising that you do at airports, for example, right now.
Right.
So how are you leveraging digital marketing channels then to drive more adoption?
Yeah. So specifically in the financial world, yes, COVID has impacted a lot. You would be reading out almost daily. There are newses about government giving an impetus in to the MSME sector, to the lending sector. There's lots and lots of focus on that. From an organization perspective, yes, the demand gets impacted because everybody is now holed out into their homes. Savings, whatever they have limited, the risk or the uncertainty towards for a salaried guy towards a job, and for a MSME guy of his continued business is very high. There's a very risky, uncertain behavior, and therefore it naturally impacts all the industries, financials being one of them. So our focus largely has been of ensuring that we build a quality book. I have to ensure, and you would have heard a lot of things about NPAs, the assets not performing well, government giving moratorium to the customers to refinance them, as well as cater to their demands. As an organization, we have tapped on, from a demand perspective, we have tapped on to the opportunity of the emergency credit line scheme, which our finance minister had rolled out, to support the MSMEs. Our idea has been to latch on and contribute to the government's initiative of Atmanirbhar. So we are fully reaching out to our customers to give them funds in the time of these needs. Simultaneously, we are also keeping a cautious watch that we don't fund our customers frivolously, because in the end, once the market opens up, it is important that the payment, that the loan that we give, we should also get back and not turn them into NPA from a financial health perspective. The second part which you mentioned, how are we reaching out? It's completely through digital mediums, as rightly pointed. The world has moved over from the outdoor, or your ads and everything is linking back to the social media or the digital tools. We are disbursing money under this scheme completely digitally. uh, in fact, the entire episode has helped us to have zero interaction with our customers, physical interactions. So there are a lot of guidelines defined by RBI. We have to do KYC of the customer. We have adopted video KYC solutions.
Right.
So it's like the meeting that we are doing. I assess and do KYC. We have run lots and lots of algorithms. You will flash my end customer will flash a PAN card. I will read that PAN card and verify that PAN card to the government website whether this is authenticated or not. So those kind of solutions we have brought in. Um, in our lending business, it is important that I know you as a customer and why you need the funds. And therefore, our interviews, there was a leg of interviews, our credit
Right.
or risk team doing interviews, that we have shifted to video personal discussions. So that's we have availed. And since post that, we are now trying to capture market, being aggressive, and we are doing everything digitally. So that's the facet of how business has changed, and within a span of 4 5 months. Yeah, so that's the beauty of it.
Sandeep, your journey from XLRI to ABG, and you've spent considerable time at ABG now. What has been that period in your entire time at ABG where your growth, your learning curve has been the steepest, and how you dealt with that? Because sometimes it becomes very intimidating, and how do you get over that? So if you could take us through any of those projects that made you feel like that, which were intimidating to begin with, but you overcame them, it will be quite useful for the youth, for the students.
Yeah, I think couple of instances. One, uh, after the 4 stints that the year one of the program, you land up into a full-fledged role. I landed up into the office of Mr. KK Maheshwari, who was then the MD for Grasim, and currently, just last year, till last year, he was the MD for Ultratech. The first day of the role, and he being the at the chairman and MD level, you know,
It's scary, right? Like dealing with an MD so early in your career, that must be very intimidating.
yeah. So the first day I landed up, at that time China was really hot topics, and we were setting up a manufacturing facilities there. The first day, 5 minutes interaction with my uh, with him. He said, go through the China. So he literally said, go through the China documents and suggest, are we doing the right thing or not? And that's what it is, right? And it was in the morning, and of course then he's a fairly busy guy, and he would, and I would not get an opportunity, sir, matlab kya, kidhar, kya karu. And that's the way perhaps every leader tests you out. And then I picked up some files, some emails, some documents about, and I had no clue. I just had an idea and prepared myself where all was Grasim based out of, which all facilities, where we were doing. And then, of course, during the next 5 6 hours, I read through and understood, and at least got a context that what are we trying to do. And then, I took upon myself that at least I should make something uh, for next 5 minutes of interaction or time that I will get with Mr. Maheshwari at that time. And so I made a 2-pager report. It was a 2 A4 report, highlighting very crisply. And I knew everything. Obviously, whatever it write, I might not be able to add any value, because obviously he would be knowing. So I said,
Right.
I described where is the opportunity of in China, what the organization has done till now, and where we are stuck. Okay, so these are the 3 sections I wrote. And fourth, just a recommendation. I had some balls to write some recommendation. I wrote recommendation stating that probably, that some context in terms of where the land was acquired versus 2 3 options. So I gave amongst these 2 3 a relative table in terms of which one is making more sense. And that's on that day. Then Mr. Maheshwari's secretary took that printout, so of 2 pager, sent him, and then I was called for 5 minutes discussion. He went through line by line and word by word. First thing, I was amazed that that guy, is not ridiculing ridiculing me, and he went line by line and word by word. He said, this is written right, this is right, here you should have thought about this, and these are the three areas which you should think about it. And that's where the connect started with my boss. And to that, the next 3.5 years were beautiful around that. That's the idea. I think the learning curve in that kind of role is very, very steep. um,
Right.
there are very little chances of you doing mistake. More than mistake, the understanding the business, it is expected that you grow it very fast. So that's one instance. Later on, I moved to financial services world, retail lending.
Right.
As you grow up in the ladder, uh, the expectation, and you occupy senior roles, the expectations are definitely you deliver immediately or even before you join. The beauty of this programs helps you to traverse different roles and functions. With each function, whenever you land up into a unsafe or which is outside your safety, the steep learning curve is always there. So I
Right.
think that's the idea.
Sandeep, I want to ask you this question, and I'm going to put you on a spot here. You will have batchmates who will be consultants, investment bankers, brand managers. Uh, what is the allure of a general management program? Like, why do you think you preferred going down the general management route? And what are the kind of students you think would enjoy going down that
So I think when I was applying for ABG in the during my college, I
route? Right.
considered, if I remember correctly, I considered 4 5 factors. One, the enormity of the group itself.
Right.
Second, the group itself at that time was established to give you exposures in multiple businesses, multiple functions, which is not heard too much of, because once you land up in a company, you choose a function, you grow vertically into that function. It is always much later point in time at the CXO's level that you get an opportunity to traverse into different companies. The group promised that in the beginning itself, and that I found it really exciting. uh,
Hmm.
when you compare yourself with consulting are those are really good jobs. My friends are there, but it gives you only limited exposure of giving directions, understanding the business. Execution is sometimes, most of the times, gets missed out in the consulting role,
Absolutely.
which you definitely get this exposure here. So that was there 2 3 points. Of course, it has been growing. Group, it was growing at that time, so it naturally allows you to understand, if you get fit in, you go through and traverse. um,
Right.
10 years down the line, I have zero regrets. I know, I have worked more than 3 years in three functions. I have worked briefly in four industries. I know people within the group who are spanning industry, and people at leadership levels. The connect, when you interact with them, the kind of knowledge you get is unparalleled, unparalleled, which you would not get in any other single functional company, because then it's all related to, if you are in FMCG, it is FMCG. If you are in finance, it is finance. If you are in marketing, it is marketing. So I think that's the beauty. I think learning is almost on daily basis.
Right. Okay. Let's bring in Krishna now into this conversation. Krishna, you are an FLP candidate at ABG who's grown over the years within the organization. You've completed your CFA level 3. Uh, Lots of students have asked very specific, pointed finance questions. But to begin with, I just want to understand, if you are a CFA level 3, would you want to work in a more finance driven company, maybe a bank or something like that? Why would you want to work for a general management company like ABG?
Kunj, I think it depends upon the choice that we are making. Uh, Within ABG also, you can go to financial services like Sandeep is right now working. Uh, and it is what you like to do. Like, I like to see business as business rather than whether it is a financial service, whether it is a manufacturing setup. What we are looking at is value creation. So from that point of view, as a finance guy, you can contribute in all the areas that you I mean, in whichever business industry that you can go, you can, can have the, you can contribute to add value. So from that angle, I think my choice is towards a conglomerate like ABG, where
Right.
you get exposure into multiple businesses, multiple industry, and try to understand a lot more than a single segment focused industry.
Okay. So let's look at it from a corporate strategy point of view. One of the students has asked a very interesting question, and this is again with the COVID context. Is this the time for a conglomerate like ABG to consolidate or expand aggressively?
Uh, I think it is quite clear within our group right now that we are trying to conserve gas. I think gas is the king right now, which I keep hearing from my boss and boss's boss. Uh, and so right now, what we are trying to do is not look at the new projects. At least at this at a short-term phase, what we are looking at is the ongoing projects which are there. What is the incremental investment that is required, and what are the returns that we are looking at. From that point of view, we are making the decision whether to invest or not. From the expansion point of view, what we are focusing mainly on is the operations or the controllables, which we say, uh, increasing the utilization levels, working on the working capital, reducing the fixed cost. So those are the areas which we are continuously focusing on since last 4 months. And also, I mean, from point of view of preparing ourselves for the future, we are preparing ourselves for the new projects, and we are waiting for the those green shoots in terms of demand. You see that green shoots of visibility of those demand coming up, and then we'll move those proposals to into action. So right now we are working on a desktop kind of a thing for the new projects. So that is the overall view that I see in the group right now.
Right. So, Krishna, a lot of questions around finance as well. Students who are majoring in finance are generally asking what is the wide gamut of roles that are available to students in the finance leadership program within ABG?
Yeah. So I think if you start your career, I think there are multiple roles. One, you can go into FP&A kind of a role or a controller's team role, which I'm working. I'm heading right now. MIS department of CFI, and one of the FLP is working with me uh,
Right.
in this role. So that is one kind of role. Another is I think you can go into the business roles, which are more of where you review the performance of the businesses, which I was part of in the previous role. You can go into corporate strategy. Uh, a few of our colleagues are there in ABGLP. ABGLPs are there in corporate strategy. Corporate finance is there, where we look at the M&A at a group level
Right.
and the projects, new projects. So that is there. Then you can also assist like the business leaders, which Sandeep explained a little while. So these are the areas which and also, yeah, so from a finance point of view, I think what I missed is investor relations and risk management and all those kind of specific or a tax specialist kind of a role. Those areas
Right.
are also there. So whichever, I mean, it depends upon the choice of the individual where they want to, because the area and the industry and the functions available within the finance scope is significant. So that
Right.
is there. And as we call it, the world of opportunities. So
Yeah.
within ABG. So from that angle, I think we have a lot of tools.
Right. Krishna, with COVID increasing the cost of equity and hence generally the cost of capital on account of just higher equity risk premium, how are you making sure that your return on capital is more than cost of capital these days?
So in the recent time, if I call it as I said, yeah. So the rule is simple. Your return should be at least be equal to your cost of capital. Now, how
Right.
do we? I mean, I'll just break it down. The cost of capital has the two parts. One is cost of equity and the cost of debt. Right now, what we
Right.
are looking at is certainly the cost of equity is increasing in general, I would say, but the cost of debt is also reducing. So overall impact on the overall cost of capital, which we call WACC, uh, may be higher or lower. So that is in general. Now coming to the specific current times, what we are doing is, as I said, we are just looking at the incremental investments for the ongoing projects. That what is the extra cash that we need to invest, so that, and what is the extra returns that we'll get. From that point of view, we are looking at, whether we need to invest or wait. So from that point of view, I think that is what we are doing. Um, Also, I mean, I mean, at this stage, the strategy should be to look at those defensive stock industries we call, or recession-free industries we call. Like we are seeing in my CFI sector, we are seeing good demand in agri, which where we sell urea and other fertilizers and crop protections and seeds, which is I mean seeing tremendous growth over last year. uh, Another area is sanitization, which we see has grown significantly. So these are the areas which are, where one should invest at this stage, and also prepare. As I said, we can prepare for
You'll
future.
have to hold your mic closer to you, Krishna. Sorry. Sorry
I'm
for
sorry.
interrupting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think so. What I was saying was we can prepare for the futures because this is a temporary phase, and then we can invest. We can continue with our investment plans, which were to happen in the past. So from that angle, obviously we'll have to reassess the demand and those forecasts. So that way we'll have to. We are doing that. That way.
Right. Krishna, last question for you before I go back to Sandeep. I wanted to understand, a lot of students have asked that, while most of them will be doing their MBAs, and that's the general population that we have on this call, some of them want to also pursue CFA or FRM along with it during their MBA. Some of them are also considering, maybe if I can join a company like ABG and pursue it while I'm working at ABG. What is your opinion on that? Does it give you an additional skill, an additional point while you are doing your MBA in finance? And is it possible to do at all with an ABG kind of a full-time
Yeah.
job?
So from a full time, I mean, I am an example. So I did my CFA during my one of the roles in Indalco. So I
Right.
completed all three exams during that period. So you have to manage the time, but then it is not that difficult to, I mean, clear CFA or FRM, to be specific. I mean, we can go ahead with that, and the value addition that you'll get is an add-on over the knowledge base that you have, and you'll get that global exposure from these kind of courses, which certainly helps in your day-to-day working. You will not see very vivid, but then you can, I mean, see an indirect impact how you are making decisions and how you are looking at things. So from those point of view, I think it is a good way to add value in your knowledge base.
Right. Okay. Let's come closer to where the students are right now and some of the things that they are going to experience. So, Sandeep, I wanted to ask you, during your selection procedure for ABG back then, what is it that you think really got you the job? Was there a interview question that you answered really well? Or, what was there on your profile, or what were some of the things that you did that helped you get into ABG?
Okay. It's really long back. I think I remember it was one of the longest, entire schedule of making it to ABG was the longest amongst all the recruiters that were there on the campus. It was almost 1.5 day process. The
Right.
idea of all the exercise, right from group discussions to assessment exercise to interviews, was to figure out whether the candidate falls into the ethos of the group and fits into and probably will fit into the culture of the group. I can't especially circle out if I had given any smart answer to any question. But I think there were a lot of people who I got interviewed with across multiple levels. The last was the personal interview with a very senior person at that time. If I remember correctly, it was with Shiv, who was part of chairman's office. uh,
Right.
they at I remember one, they tried to ask of what we are aware on the current market. how the corporate industry at that time, it was in 2011, how was it working on, what were the sectors which were growing. And I remember they wanted to know my opinion about how I think of different sectors growth trajectory that would come in future. I think that was one. So we were prepared on that front. Apart from that, the assessment centers are usually to fit you in with the ethos of the group. So that would be it.
Right. And and this is a question for both of you before I then move on to the YTM team. Guys, what do I need to do well at ABG? What are the things, what are the skills, attitudes more importantly that I need to display during my summer internship, during my subsequent MT program, and then in my different companies that I work in? What do I need to display in terms of attitude to do well at a company like ABG?
Krishna, you want to go first or should I
Yeah,
go?
yeah, sure. So what I mean, the first thought which comes to my mind is, I think you need to be very proactive. You need to be mindful of the situation and act accordingly. I mean, so in the first phase where we just get used to the projects, and you kind of think of how to go about it. I think the focus should be on the delivery. You stay proactive, and then focus how you can deliver on the project objective in the first year. And if there is any clarification required, you keep connect with your project manager, project guide, to help you out to how you can reach to your objective. So that is part one. I think as a overall theme, I think anyone who gets into ABG should, I mean, just look at the value system that we have, and whether we align with that or not. If you
Right.
align with the value system of ABG, I think you will in any way, excel, and then you will kind of, the value system which I'm talking about is speed, integrity, commitment, passion. So these all act, I mean, in any ways, you need to have those, features in you to excel in ABG. So that is an overall theme which one can keep in
So,
mind.
Sandeep?
Yeah, for me, I think three things. One, there's nothing better than doing hard work. It's very simple. You have to constantly do hard work. There is no shortcut to it. Second would be become reliable to the organization. The organization should find you reliable, um, and therefore the organization will keep giving you better roles and better work, and you will also keep growing. The third, which I which I have definitely followed, is in any role, be it any role or any work, think from what your boss's boss will think of that work, and do what your manager is expected to do. So always play one level, execution at one step up, thinking at two step up. And I have followed that, and that has helped me till now.
Yeah, that relates to the ownership mindset that so many people talk about, and so many recruiters are often looking for people who can own the business that people are working in early in their careers. Thank you so much, guys, and I'm going to now move to the business end of the innings. I'm going to move to the young talent management team headed by Kostav. We're going to talk about the design of the ABGLP program. What are the changes that are going to come this year? There are a lot of anxieties around that, so we are going to talk about those, and hopefully the answers will calm your nerves but also give you a very realistic picture of what's coming up in the coming couple of years for you guys. Costa, to begin with, I want to ask you about, ABG is present in 36 different countries. We don't realize, we keep thinking it's an Indian made brand and it's India based, etc., but it's present in 36 countries. And now, because of the COVID situation, the work culture has changed. The work from home thing has been forced upon so many of our businesses. What are some of the things that you think are long term changes that have happened in terms of work culture, in terms of how business is going to be conducted in a large conglomerate like ABG?
So first off, let me correct the first proposition that you made. ABG being a multinational company. If I was to ask anyone in this audience today, is GM multinational or American? They'd say American. Is Apple American or is it multinational? They'd say American. Is Xiaomi a multinational or Chinese? It's a Chinese. So why are we so hung up on getting this title of multinational? We are an Indian company. We're Indian founded. We're headquartered in India, and we're very proud of being that. We happen to have operations overseas, which is why we say we are multinational. But I don't think that it's necessarily something that we need to blow out of proportion. There's a lot of clinging. I see many companies in India, especially over the past 10, 15 years, trying to say that we have international. What's the big deal? There's nothing wrong in saying you're Indian, right? I think we need to first get over that. Because I don't see any of our counterparts or any of our competitors globally scrambling to be claimed that they're multinational, right? We are the ones who call them MNCs. They don't call themselves MNCs. That's one. Second, long-term changes. I think if people are going into this crisis thinking that there aren't going to be long-term changes, they are not being very honest with themselves. Everything has changed. Right? Will we go back to work someday? Yes, I have no doubt we'll go back to work. I have no doubt offices will open up. I have no doubt the world will go on. Life will go on. But I also have no doubt that there will be permanent shifts in how we do even the most basic things. There's no doubt in my mind about that. None. And I'll draw an analogy to another unpleasant incident that occurred in the past 20 odd years is 9/11. Right? After those two planes hit those two towers, flights, of course, did resume. International travel did resume. But you could no longer have your family come up to the gate to say goodbye. You could no longer show up 20 minutes before the flight and still expect to board. Things changed permanently. Visa security clamped down. Right. So similarly, there will be long-term changes. What those long-term changes are, I don't know. So this is the first generation of young people who will be entering business school in COVID, right? Their seniors are the first generation entering the workforce in COVID. And I wouldn't be surprised if by the time things normalize, by the time we get back to 100% in office, which is, let's say, Q4 of this fiscal, sometime around March of 21, if people who have just entered the workforce and have been in the workforce for 8, 9, 12 months are asking, boss, I was doing the same work from home. Why do I now need to spend 5 hours a day commuting to the office? Right. That's time I'll never get back. Right. And it's killing my productivity because to plan for that 5-hour commute, I have to leave at a certain time. I have to leave office at a certain time. It's impinging on my work-life balance. I see that as a very real possibility. Right. Now, the question becomes, ultimately, are companies willing to face these facts and do something about it, or are they not? That I am in no position to say, right? Fortunately or unfortunately, these are questions above my pay grade. So I don't have the pleasure and privilege of dealing with these types of issues. But it's definitely a viewpoint, I think, that will certainly come into play in the next 6 to 9 months.
Okay, cost of now the $1 million question. How are summer placements going to get affected because of the COVID-19 pandemic, specifically at Aditya Birla Group? And how is this batch going to get affected? What is it that ABG is thinking about in terms of recruitment, in terms of summer internships, in terms of placement week this year? What are some of the things that you can tell us about that?
Okay, so first things first, I think people need to understand that it doesn't matter which business is coming on your campus to recruit you. They're coming to recruit you with an end position in mind, some end position in mind, right? They may have their own type of rotational program, experiential, whatever it is, but there's some position in mind they have of backfilling by recruiting you. So let's play that out right now. This year, the economy has been quite horrible, to be frank, right? Domestic consumption has been pinched severely. Exports have been pinched severely. Global trade is on a backwards movement. PMIs dropped below 50. Between The UK and the US, those two leaders have done everything they can to kill globalization, along with probably having the same barber that gives them both that same bad haircut. So it's not a good scenario to operate and run a business in. So I would say that as far as recruiting goes, will we recruit? Of course, there's no doubt in my mind. But will those numbers be lesser than they were last year and the year before? Yes. Because ultimately, I am recruiting people to place them in a final role. I don't want to be in a position where I recruit and then I can't place people. Or I have to compromise on the type of final role they'll end up in. Or I have to raise the bar of performance to unrealistic expectations. So indirectly, people get failed out. I think most of the people on this call have been through enough of that when they had to apply to engineering colleges, when they had to apply for MBA programs. I don't want to repeat that horrific experience for them again. So numbers will be impacted, no doubt. I don't, but to what extent, I'm not in a position to actually give a tangible number, unfortunately.
Sure. I'm going to bring in Shoma here now and, ask another very important question, probably asked by hundreds of students here for Konversations Cafe. Shoma, if you could tell us, what is it that you're looking for this year? What kind of CVs, what kind of profiles are you looking for the ABGLP program this year?
So, Kunj, every year we do have, a set of tangible competencies on which we measure students on. But this year, I think with the current scenario, in addition to what we already measure candidates on campus, resilience is coming out to be, a top priority for everyone, which is the ability to bounce back. Agility as a competency is, I think, something which our senior leaders would look forward to. Of course, it is very difficult to, analyze everything about a behavior or personality of a candidate in those 30-45 minutes. But I think we would fine tune our questions into, very specific situation based questions to target some of these new age competencies which are coming up in this current scenario. So that is one thing. And I think I'd already mentioned in my previous session as well. The recruiters who join us on campus are business heads, business, CHROs, industry leaders, the best in class leaders who come to campus for hiring. So they would be looking for, people who go a little above and beyond, who go over the edge, who have something interesting in them that they could connect with. I think I have been through a lot of those campus processes and interviews, and the most important thing what I felt is striking the right kind of conversation in the right direction with a recruiter is very important. So doing, of course, is good and enough, but it's not enough to convert an interview. So I think doing well, doing a lot of things on campus, participating in competitions, building that good network amongst your peers and also with recruiters is important. And then being able to communicate that effectively in your campus interviews is equally important.
Right. Shoma, here, if you could tell me, if I am a first year student at one of these top B schools, and what are some of the touch points that I'm going to have with ABG over the next couple of years? What are some of the opportunities that I'm going to get to woo you guys, to impress you guys, to stand out in front of you guys, apart from Konversations Cafe that we are doing right now? For the remaining 2 years, what are the opportunities that I'm going to get to, get into ABG, for example?
So Kunj, apart from the campus engagement programs which we already have in place, Konversations Cafe being one of them, we also have our alumni going to campus twice every year, connecting with the students, talking about their experiences, giving them certain tips on how they can manage their interviews well. We have other hiring touchpoints apart from the regular campus hiring process, like campus competitions where we conduct case studies across selected B schools. We also have the ABG Scholarship Program. It's an academic scholarship program which is, spearheaded by our corporate communications team. So the academically brilliant candidates across campuses have an opportunity to be a part of the ABG scholarship interviews, through which we also given PPOs and PPIs. So I think last year we also, you guys in fact helped us conduct the WOMI competition where students across campuses were, asked to participate and kind of woo ABG, make them, believe why they should go to your campus. And I think we did go to some of the campuses where we generally don't visit. For example, I think Nasi Monji, IFT Delhi, these were some of our winners last year where we did visit the campus and hire for summers. So yeah, I think one must be open to all competitions and all opportunities on campus and participate actively in them.
Right. I'm going to bring in Avande here now. Avande, just want to understand the design of the ABGLP program and the journey of the student once he or she joins the program. How do they progress from one level to another? Essentially, I mean, to be honest, most people are here to become CEOs at one point of time in their career. Some will make it, most will not. But essentially, how does ABGLP design that entire journey for them once they've joined the company full time?
Sure, thanks, Kunj.
Avande, your volume is a little low. You might need to hold your mic closer to you.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, slightly better. It'll help if you talk a little
Okay.
loud. Yeah, this is fine now. This is fine.
Okay. So, Kunj, thanks for that question. When a participant joins us as the ABGLP participant, like Sandeep has already covered, we do have stints that they go through in their first year. So they have 3 stints, and that is across group companies and across different functions. That I think is the maximum exposure I think any participant gets, because you get to experience little bits about ABG culture, ABG, the way managers work, with the way different sectors work, with the way different services are conducted, things like that. And more importantly, you get exposure across functions. So if it's supply chain, then you'll get something in marketing, something in finance. So even if you're a little unsure of what you really want to do, you can get that experience to kind of fix your mind on, okay, this is where I want to start my career in. So that's basically the first year of their, their journey with ABG. After that, it goes into a final role where they are fully responsible to start off and, responsible for, let's say, a P&L even, for that matter, or the role they take up. So there are roles across the group, like you also mentioned, brand manager. There are area retail managers. For finance, like Krishna started, he also went to a plant, and then you take up commercial and finance roles in plants. For HR, there are functions. So they start off with final roles, and you take full ownership of what you're doing there. The career management is managed by the young talent team along with the group the group talent management team together. So we see how they are progressing from one role to another, where we can actually have them grow, because the vision of the program is per se to have next generation leaders out of the ABGLP community. So how do we progress them from one role into another to finally get to the level where they aspire to be, as well as where the business requires them to be.
Right.
So the entire career management is also centrally driven along with their specific businesses that they specifically work in. So that's actually how we manage their careers. If you want me to throw some light on anything specific, I can surely help you with that.
Sure. So due to paucity of time, I'm going to quickly move to Kaustav. I have a couple of questions for him. Thanks, Avande, for giving us an overview on the programs. Kaustav, there is this buzzword in talent these days, which is diversity, right? Everybody talks about.
I don't like buzzwords. I already don't like buzzwords. Go ahead.
It's also, something that campus students face it when they enter B schools as well, that, अरे ये तो diversity candidate है इसलिए इसका हो गया है etc. And then it comes again to companies, right? Like, how do companies hire, and how important is diversity to them? Some of them actually own it, some of them pay lip service to diversity, and it's not really something that they want to follow. What is your view on diversity when it comes to hiring talent, and how do you see it pan out when it comes to campus hiring?
All right. So this is a public forum, so I'll keep my personal views on this very, very private and out of the conversation. I don't like buzzwords. I'll just put that out there because people tend to use them. They use them so much that eventually a word that meant something starts meaning nothing. So then that phrase that they start using could mean anything, which means it's effectively a useless phrase. So that's why I don't like buzzwords and I stay away from buzzwords. Or at least contemporary buzzwords. Buzzwords from 20 years ago that no one's using anymore, those have value because no one else apart from you is using them. So let's think about diversity. What do we mean by diversity? Typically in India, given the gender skew that we have towards males and pretty appalling history, I would say, of treatment towards women in many, many cases. Diversity is typically associated with gender diversity. As an employer, I'll tell you something. From my experience in the US, diversity is a big thing over there as well, especially equality of employment opportunities, as they call it. And they are very, very hell-bent on trying to ensure that women are paid as much as men for the same job that they feel, at least statistics prove in the US, they are not. I'm very proud to say that if that's the case in the US, when I look at India, I think we're much better off in many ways. Whether you're male, female, or anything else in between, once you join our group in a certain program, you're joining at the same salary as anyone else. There is zero tolerance. There is zero differentiation on non-work related items that may cause a difference in how you're treated. Okay. So as far as I am concerned, do we proactively hire for diversity? No. I don't go out saying I must hire girls or I must hire this or must hire that. No. My only criteria is hiring the best person on the day. If they happen to be from X, Y, or Z, that's great. If they happen not to be, that's also okay. But the system is not skewed to give preference to anyone over anyone else. Because in doing so, you're promoting a kind of segregational mindset. You're promoting a kind of bias. You're promoting a kind of prejudice. But with all that being said, ABGLP is about 40 to 45% women. And that statistic is improving year on year. Now, it's not improving because we are proactively choosing to hire more women. Not at all. It's improving because the best candidate on the day on campus happens to be more women today than it's men. It's as simple as that. And that's an anecdotal observation I made myself the first time I went on a campus to hire in the GDs. I think I was at IIM Calcutta 2 or 3 years ago. And I was just shocked. It's like the girls were just tearing everyone apart and the guys were sitting there quietly, not opening their mouths at all. So it was no surprise to me when that year from IMC, we had more women coming in than men. They performed better on the day. And that's what matters, performance on the day. So when it comes to diversity, I think that companies are trying to ensure, see, you cannot have a population within an organization that is not a representation of what the population is in the country, right? Because if you have a population, let's say in the country where it's, for example, 50-50 male, female, your company is 60-40, and that's been intentionally done, then you have purposely selected more women than men, which in and of itself is a kind of bias. The best you can aspire for, if you want to be really equal about this, is to have a skew or a distribution that represents where the country is, because that's the pool you're pulling from.
Right. Okay.
Before I get myself in more trouble, I'll just stop on that topic.
Okay. Thank you so much, Costa, for your responses. Thank you to the whole YTM team and Krishna and Sandeep for making it here. We really appreciate the authenticity, the honesty, and the depth with which you guys have responded to these questions. often it happens that, during a pre-placement talk or, during interactions with media, companies are not as honest about what happens, and they try to give very flaky answers. So we appreciate the honesty with which you guys have tried to present your story. I'm sure students will appreciate and will get to learn a lot from it. With this, I'm going to close this session. Thank you so much, guys, for being here. This is just the beginning of your career. This is just the beginning of your really amazing time that you're going to have over the next 2 years. At Inside IM, we hope to partner you throughout these 2 years through content, through engagements, through sessions like these with marquee recruiters. We have more sessions like these coming up in coming weeks. But for now, we're going to end this, and I'm going to require you guys to download the Campus app, which starts with a K, Campus, K-A-M-P-U-S. Please download the app and go to the polls section there and fill up feedback on these sessions so that we get to know what is it that you liked, what is it that you didn't like. I'm sure some of you have gotten your questions answered, but some of you haven't. So what can we do better? We'd love to hear from you. If you do fill up the form, that's our contract with you, right? If you fill up the form, we are going to send you your participation certificates for attending these sessions. We appreciate the time and the effort that you're putting in for your career, your future by attending these sessions. With this, I am signing off. Team Inside IM and Team ABGLP are signing off from here. Thank you so much, guys. Have a great weekend. Cheers. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for attending. Bye-bye. Have a great weekend.
Thank you,
Thanks.
guys.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you all.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks, Kunj. Thank you so
Thank you,
much.
everyone.
It was amazing.
Thank you for
It
such
was
an
really
amazing
insightful
session.
session. Thank
Yeah,
you.
the session was insightful for everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Rakha.
Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.
I hope we could have communicated a lot more amongst ourselves as well. A little like you used to host last year and the year before. Yeah.
Yeah, I am also sorry about that. Yeah, like I would have also liked that, but we'll create newer opportunities for one-on-one interactions as well among you guys as well. So don't worry about it. A lot of
Yeah.
interesting things are coming up. We are going to replace your campus with a lot of. Just download the app. There's a lot of new are going to come on the app where you'll get to interact with random people from different campuses and build your network as well in the coming few months. So don't worry about it. We'll try and compensate for all that you guys are losing because of not having to go on a physical campus. I understand your anxieties around that.
Thank you so much.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Okay, bye guys. We are just going to end this meeting now. Yeah. Bye.
Yeah, okay. Bye-bye.